In today's video, we're taking a look at Omega Shenron versus Jiren, the two final opponents for both GT and Super, and with Super over, this is a highly debated one. After seeing multiple parody/AMV videos, I kind of want to give my take on this whole subject, and so what I'm going to do is, how I've always done with these videos, I'll go through purely numbers and power scaling first, and then I'll go into techniques and battle strategies to figure out who is going to win this one. And personally, I think power scaling, it's not going to make sense, so I'm going to use power scaling just for a rough estimate, and then I'll go into really the fight itself and all their techniques and things to figure out who's going to win this battle. Alright, so we all know that Omega Shenron, being quite higher than Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Vegeta both, is a pretty well known deal. In the Dragon Ball community, Goku being as strong as a SSJ3 in his base form is a pretty well accepted statement, because when he fought Rildo, he said that Rildo was around Majin Buu's strength and he was able to keep up somewhat in base form. Now, looking at Super Saiyan 4, Super Saiyan 4 being 10 times the multiplier of Super Saiyan 3 is also a pretty well accepted multiplier, and with this I'm not going into any of Seth the Programmer's theories so far, just to keep it simple. So really, in theory, GT Goku as a Super Saiyan 4 should be 10 times stronger than SSJ3, or SSJ3 was already a 400 times multiplier. Again, it's said in various guides throughout the years, and thus making SSJ4 4,000 times base, or as a comparison, you could say he's 4,000 times Super Saiyan 3 in the Buu arc. So Omega Shenron based off of this should be at least twice as strong as that, or not even that, probably much higher, right? Because Super Saiyan 4 was kind of struggling up to keep up with Nova Shenron, and then of course Sin Shenron, and subsequently Omega is much stronger than that, and Goku had to absorb all the power from his friends to even stand a chance. Now, talking about Jiren, on the other hand is much harder to scale, since any of Goku's god forms, Lettergo and Migate no Gokuri, they don't have any information or any information on power increases. So basically this is all going to be speculation from here on out. And remember that numbers are rarely a reliable source in Dragon Ball, right? Because if you go all the way back into the Saiyan and Namek arc, like Goku, he had a overall power level, but then he can increase it by spiking his power or using Kaioken. So again, numbers just really, they don't really make sense in my opinion. But I'm going to try to do my best to come up with some kind of scale to see how strong Jiren is. Now, we'll get a rough estimate on Jiren based on Goku's power scale, right? So, we know that in the Battle of Gods movie, Goku said he could not defeat Beerus even with Vegito. Vegito was stated and shown through various guides, mainly the Daizenshuu, and I think there's many others that basically say that Vegito is stronger in his base form than Super Saiyan 3 Goku is. Now, based on this, if Vegito at SSJ1 or even SSJ2 could not defeat Beerus, this most likely means that Super Saiyan God is at least 50 times Super Saiyan 3 based on power scaling. Again, this is a pretty accepted multiplier in the Dragon Ball community. Now here's where things get a little bit tricky, right? Let's move on to Super Saiyan Blue. Okay, well, so Super Saiyan Blue is obviously stronger than Super Saiyan God, but in terms of being it 50 times stronger than Super Saiyan God, like the regular 50 times multiplier for SS is from base, I don't think so. Because if this were the case, Beerus would probably be crapping himself at the thought of Ultra Instinct, considering that would be like at least, 1,000 times Super Saiyan God based off the 50 times for Super Saiyan Blue, and then the 20 times for Kaioken, and then who knows how much for Migate no Gokuri. So, and I just, based off of this, I just don't think that Beerus really had that much power hidden within him in the Battle of Gods fight. I mean, at points it seemed like he was struggling just a bit. And even if Super Saiyan Blue was actually 50 times stronger than Super Saiyan God, it would just prove my point, which I'll get to here in a bit. Plus, Super Saiyan Blue has always been referenced to be a quote-unquote faster and stronger than Super Saiyan God. But it's really not that said to be uberly more powerful, right? Anyway, so based off of this, let's get back into the topic. Jiren was completely overpowering Goku at 20 times Kaioken, even with the Spirit Bomb. And if we go off of this, even if we give Super Saiyan Blue a very small multiplier and we go off the one-off statement in Battle of Gods movie, again, that says that Vegito could not defeat Beerus, this would mean that Jiren is at least 20,000 times Super Saiyan 3. Again, given that Ultra Instinct is at least 10 times Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken, and far beyond anything that Super Saiyan 4 or Omega would put out. But that's not really the point. Do you guys see how ridiculous this gets? I mean, you get people who are like 20 freaking thousand times stronger than some other people. Power scaling at the end of Dragon Ball Super, it kind of gets to be a nightmare, which this is the reason why I don't like it. I mean, you could use this, but in reality, all these numbers don't make sense and they don't really correspond to the fights usually. Usually the fights, first of all, I don't think the writers even really look at power levels like in depth, to be honest. And it doesn't really mean anything in terms of combat. And I think that's why Toriyama kind of let power scaling all go, like in the Saiyan arc after Frieza transformed into his second form. After all that good stuff, he kind of realized that they're kind of pointless. So let's get into the real stuff. With all that said, so let's see what Omega can do. Now, Omega Shenron is Sin Shenron with all the powers and techniques of the other Shadow Dragons. He has ice, fire, slime, heat armor, spikes, negative ki or negative energy, and all these other types of things. And he's a very dangerous and difficult opponent to deal with. He has also, I forgot to mention, the ability known as Dragon Thunderclap, used by, I think it's Rage Shenron, and he used this against Vegeta. Again, he has spikes, and then he can enhance them further with the Thunder ability. Overall, overall Omega, he is a very dangerous, difficult opponent to deal with. He is very cocky. He likes to toy with his opponents before finishing them off. Now, Jiren, on the other hand, he is a fighter who really relies on absolute strength. His fighting style consists mainly of just energy conservation and meditation until necessary battle. Once fighting, he completely and utterly crushes his opponents by basically taking their most powerful attacks head on and destroying or repelling them until they have been defeated. Jiren himself is an insanely tough opponent to defeat. Some of his feats consist of, shaking the entire world of Void, which is an infinite realm. He has taken a 20 times Kaioken Spirit Bomb with Goku using basically everything he has, and just deflecting it away by a simple glare. And basically being able to surpass time itself is another one. I mean, this dude is insane. He can do all kinds of things. I mean, he was even able to block Ultra Instinct's Goku's Kamehameha just after seeing the battle with him and Kefla once. So his martial arts skills are very, very high. Now, the biggest thing going for Jiren himself is the power to essentially resist time itself. I mean, this is a feat that's so uberly insane. I don't even think that Omega could even deal with it. The question here asked is, could Omega use his ice, fire, electricity, or all of his other abilities to even try to weaken Jiren? And come on, let's be real. It's not going to work, right? It's really not going to work. Jiren has invisible strikes. He has, insane martial arts. He was even so powerful as to take Vegeta's ultimate uber final flash head on and just basically, he was knocked down, but he didn't really got damaged. The only thing he said to Vegeta is essentially that the force of that wasn't half bad. So this dude can take a lot of hits. Now that doesn't mean Jiren is unlimitedly strong. He can be damaged, right? But it takes a strong enough blow to damage him. Case in point, when Android 17 hit him with a strong enough blast while he was unguarded. This is a little bit of an inconsistency because in 110, Jiren tried to attack him while he was off guard and he still was able to block it. But at some points, he is able to block it, and that just shows you the power and skill of 17. But anyway, back to Jiren. So, really, the only weakness Omega would have is that if he could be damaged, he could just reform again. So this might be a problem for Jiren. The only way I could really see this working is if Jiren uses one of his huge power impacts like he did back in episode 129 to completely obliterate him. You'd have to obliterate him so much. It's kind of like the spirit bomb. You have to obliterate every single part of him. But overall, however, I think Jiren could win this fight. It's going to be a very tough battle, but I'm going to have to give it to Jiren simply because he wins 2 out of the 3 categories. He has the power, the speed, which he again displayed with his invisible strikes, and the martial arts ability to back it up. In terms of speed, Jiren could literally attack you without even you knowing about it. It's kind of like when Omega Shenron fought Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. In that fight, he was fighting Gogeta and he was unable to keep up with Omega's speed, he was unable to keep up with SS4's speed, to where Gogeta literally hit him 3 times and he didn't even count. Like, he thought it was 2 of them, but he actually hit him 3 times. And so this would kind of go the same way with Jiren. Like, he would glare at him and then he uses invisible strikes. Now, in terms of any negative energy that Omega could throw at him, I think based off of Jiren's uber hacks and glare, I think he'd be able to block it. Even if he were not able to block it, I don't see a scenario where Jiren is really, really hurt by a negative karma ball unless Jiren gets off guard, which would probably not happen unless Omega starts to mock him and taunt him. And if worse comes to worse for Jiren, he could probably just unleash his hidden power to basically break his own limits, and Omega Shenron does not have anything like this. So overall, I just see Jiren winning here. Let me know in the comments what you guys thought about this one. And yeah, I thought this battle was it's not going to be easy for Omega, and it's not going to be easy for Jiren either, but I think that Jiren would win overall in the end. That's all for my discussion, guys. Let me know in the comments what you guys thought. Thank you all for tuning in as always. Stay awesome, everyone, and have a good time.